We're out at Greenfield today with one of the world's first flat track converted Stark Vargs.
I'm George Pickering, we're here at Greenfield Dirt Track. We're with a Stark Varg I've set up for flat track. I haven't actually raced flat track for a couple of years. I last raced for India motorcycles on an FTR 1200 in the hooligan class. This year, now the Stark's come out, I've come back to race and support the electric class with the DTRA. When we got the Stark, we were quite early on. We got it in November, so I feel like there wasn't loads of people in the UK with one yet. And I hadn't seen another Stark in Europe set up for flat track, so it was definitely a bit of trial and error. Luckily, I had a set of KTM wheels, KTM flat track wheels, that fitted in the Stark. And while we were figuring out how we were going to lower the suspension, my friend Ben from BG Motorsports, who is an Öhlins dealer, had a conference call, and he realised that a KTM rear shock, a 2016 to 2022, would actually fit in the Stark with very little modifications. Luckily, I had one already lowered, set up for flat track. So we made it fit. I think we had to lave like 1 mil off the top hat and just chamfer a little bit off the bottom bracket. It fitted straight in. The height that we had it lowered for a KTM was identical. It was dead correct to what it needed to be for the Stark to get the correct swing arm angle. So that went straight in, which was a real stroke of luck. Like I said, I had some KTM wheels, and I also had some KTM Öhlins forks lowered, set up for flat track. The problem is, the KTM forks didn't fit in the Stark clamps. They were like 1.5 mil too wide. So I went back to Ben at BG and he modified those forks. So they're a KTM fork with KTM bottom stanchions, so the KTM wheel fits, but we actually put a Honda upper tube on it, so they would fit in the Stark clamps. Now I'm not sure, and I don't want any backlash off this, but I don't think I've seen another Stark with Öhlins suspension. So a big thanks to BG Motorsport for taking the time and helping me make them fit for Stark. I've only ridden it a couple of times. Like I said, I got it in November, but in the UK I think it's probably not rained for more than 2 days in a row since November, so it's given us very limited track time. The early signs are it is good. Like, the biggest problem that you're battling with throughout a day of flat track is your gearing. Like, every track you go to, you'll need to change your rear sprocket to suit the length of the track. And then also sometimes as the track dries out, or perhaps it's got wetter as the day's gone on, you're always changing your gearing. Well, obviously there's no gears on the Stark, so that's gone out the window. So it is much easier in that respect. I think the only real disadvantage I've come across so far is obviously, once you've got your gearing set for a track, we gear them so you're on the limiter on a straight, just hit the limiter, bam, 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 and then shut off. So you've got loads of engine braking, and the Stark, even set at 100%, hasn't got as much engine braking as a 450. And then, like I said, I'm moaning about having to change gearing all the time to suit the length of the track, etc. But once you do get that dialed in with a 450, you're on the limiter. And that's the point of where you're going to enter the corner and you shut off. You haven't got a limiter on this thing. So I have found a couple of times, perhaps I've been a little bit too brave and gone into the corner way too fast, just because I haven't had that limiter to like hold me back perhaps. But it is good. The power delivery is good. I mean, I haven't ridden it today. I've got it out of the van, and I probably had 2 or 3 people come over to me today saying, I bet that's not good for flat track. I heard the power delivery is on or off, and that isn't true at all. Like, the power delivery on these things, I'm running it at 50 horsepower typically. I mean, if you put it at 80, it's a bloody handful, but the initial power delivery is still pretty smooth. Like, obviously, on a 4-stroke, if you go into the corner and you're too low in the RPM and you're in the torque, or you pick the throttle up and you're too high in the RPM, you need to change gear straight away. That's gone. Like, whatever speed you've gone into the corner at, when you pick the throttle up, it feels exactly the same, and that is a big advantage of the bike. The only other thing is the front mud. Some people comment they don't have a front mud guard on. If you put a motocross one on, you'll get called out for being goony. So I have fitted a universal Aquapist Supermoto mud guard. It doesn't fit in the front number board properly, so as soon as Stark do bring out a Supermoto front mud guard in the correct grey colour, I would opt to put it on, because often in the UK when the tracks are wet, you'll get dirt flicking up off a front tyre into your face. So bring out a Supermoto front mud guard, please, Stark.